PNY News. 4 Filipinos were injured while 3 remain trapped after a bridge collapses in Taiwan. PNP Chief Oscar Albayalde is accused of blocking the dismissal of 30 ninja cops in Pampanga under his watch as Provincial Police Director in 2013. Know the names of possible successors to be the next PNP chief. Metro Manila water rates to go up this month. And a bill seeking to penalize children who will abandon their old and sick parents is filed in the Senate. Good evening. 4 Filipinos were injured while 3 remain trapped after a bridge in Yilan County, Taiwan collapsed this morning. Vanessa Salud details why.
A large bridge collapsed in northeast Taiwan this morning while an oil tanker was crossing it. Dramatic CCTV images captured the moment the 140-meter-long single-arch bridge came crashing down in Nanfang Ao on Taiwan's eastern coast and caught fire. The fire was extinguished shortly after. According to the latest data released by the National Fire Agency, at least 10 people have been injured, including 6 severely wounded and 6 others remain trapped under the bridge. Among those trapped are 3 Filipinos are working on a fishing boat caught under the collapsing bridge. Raniel Jagmis, a cousin of one of the Filipinos trapped named George Jagmis Impang, immediately rushed to the scene to get first-hand details.
Actually, hindi ko po nakita yung pangyayari na yan, yung pagbagsak ng tulay. Sa may ginagawa po kasi kami, kaya hindi ko na yung pagbagsak ng tulay, hindi ko na kita. Inalaman ko na lang na pinsan ko yung sinasakyan ng pinsan ko yung nabagsakan. Kaya ako pumunta dito.
All of those injured are foreign nationals except for the Taiwanese driver of the oil tanker. Angelito Banayo, chairman of Manila Economic and Cultural Office, Taipei, said that 7 Filipinos were affected by the incident. 4 of them are now in a hospital recovering from their injuries.
Ang 4 ay nadala sa ospital at so far ay out of danger na. So, mga flight lang. Nagpadala kami ng mga tao doon, no? Both sa MECO at saka sa OWA, yung welfare officer natin na doon, para nga matulungan itong mga kababayan natin at mabantayan yung tatlo na kasalukuyan ay hindi pa kung ano nangyari sa kanila. At pinausap din yung mga responsibility dito, yung mga ahente nito mga to, para masigurado sa kanilang.
Aside from attempting to rescue those trapped, authorities are now trying to determine the cause of the collapse. Initial information received by the Ministry of Transportation and Communications indicates that the collapse of the bridge piers led to the fall. The landmark bridge, completed in 1999, is the only single steel arch bridge in Taiwan and was the first bifurcated single arch bridge in Asia. Vanessa Salud, UNTV News and Rescue, Taipei, Taiwan.
Former PNP CID GG Chief Benjamin Magalong and PDEA Chief Aaron Aquino accused PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde of interfering in the case of his former intel officers involved in the 2013 Agaw bato incident in Pampanga. Grace Casin tells us why.
Former PNP Criminal Investigation and Detection Group Chief Benjamin Magalong urged Philippine Drug Enforcement Agency Director General Aaron Aquino during today's Senate hearing to tell all the truth why the police officers involved in the 2013 Agaw bato incident in Pampanga are back in service, and others have even been promoted. Senators grilled Aquino why he did not implement the dismissal order of the 14 Pampanga intel officers when he was the regional director of Region 3 in 2016.
Aaron, nag-usap naman tayo, sir, can I just, can you address the chair, please? Sir, last week, nag-usap, sir, kami ni Aaron. And he told me everything. Sir, I know, Aaron, that you're in a tight situation. I'm also in a tight situation, no? We're thinking about the safety of our family. We're thinking about our own safety. Pero this is a fight between right and wrong. Bakit hindi mo sabihin kung ano yung sinabi mo sa akin? Bakit? Sino kumausap sa'yo? Dapat sabihin mo because the only way to clarify everything is to simply tell the truth. Aaron, please.
Sir, there was a time when Gia Albayalde called me. I cannot recall kung anong date yun, sir, kung anong specific month. But it's between July and December 2016. And nagtatanong siya ng status of the case. Yung status ng case nung Nino Baloyo. And I told him na gusto kong i-review muna yung kaso na yun, yung time na yun. And sinabi niya sa akin na sir, for the meantime, baka pwedeng ipa-review niyo muna yan at ipa-check kasi gusto kong malaman kung ano yung talagang magiging result ng investigation niya. Sabi ko, ba't mo tinatanong? Kasi sir, mga tao ko yan.
According to Baguio City Mayor Magalong, they even divulged the information to President Rodrigo Duterte.
Ganito po yung pagkakasabi niya. Na inulit na niya. Actually sir, nasabi na niya sa akin at inulit niya kay Presidente na tinawagan siya ni General Albayalde at sinabi sa kanya na huwag implement yung order. Huwag implement yung order. At sinabi niya na bakit hindi ko implement? Kasi mga tao ko yan.
But General Albayalde said he just asked Aquino about the status of the case of his former police officers.
Did you call General Aquino?
At one time, I'm sure, yes, sir. Yes,
On
sir.
the matter of your men?
Yes, the status.
On the matter of the pending decision that is on his desk?
Yes, sir. But never in one time that I asked for any favor. I was asking for the status. That is the very reason why General Aaron here ordered for the review of the case, which is, I think, normal in the process of the Philippine National Police, Your Honor. And again, I don't know what happened after that.
During the hearing, Magalong presented their findings back in 2013 when he investigated the case. He said they found out the confiscated illegal drugs during the operations of the Pampanga Intel officers in 2013 were 200 kilos, but were declared only 39 kilos. They took the 160 kilos of drugs and let suspect John Lee, who was actually a Korean national and not Chinese, flee in exchange for 50 million pesos. The operation was led by then Police Superintendent Rodney Baloyo. He claimed that he did not inform his regional director then, General Oscar Albayalde. But Albayalde was relieved due to command responsibility a year after the incident. In November 2014, the decision of the case came out, dismissing the 14 cops involved. But it has been a big question to senators why it took 2 years before they served the order to the police involved. It was in 2016. October 2017, the sentence was downgraded to one rank demotion. All of them were reinstated in the service. Others have even been promoted. Justice Secretary Minardo Guevara said the reinvestigation is ongoing and they are set to come up with a resolution in a month.
Since the time that I came to discover that this case has been pending for automatic review arising from this Senate investigation, I have instructed the state prosecutors concerned to expedite the resolution of the automatic review.
The next hearing is set on October 3, Thursday. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde maintains he did not influence the investigation into the 2013 Agaw bato operation, during which 14 cops were involved in recycling confiscated drugs. April Senadoza reports why.
Sometime in 2016, PNP PNP Chief Albayalde said he called former PNP Region 3 Director and now PDEA Chief Aaron Aquino to check the status of the so-called Ninja Cops, said to be dismissed due to the Agaw bato operation in 2013. The country's top cop argued he didn't ask for a favor and it's normal to know the status of their cases.
I could not possibly influence an RD or an upper class. Mr. Chairman, I'm just the RD and OIC, acting RD of NCRPO then. So, of course, I would ask them because people, their relatives, should also be asking me the fate of their father, the fate of these policemen.
According to Albayalde, he needed to ask Aquino due to the inquiries for the policeman's family. During their phone conversation, Aquino asked why Albayalde needed to know such investigation. As Pampanga Provincial Police Chief before, Albayalde replied his policemen were involved in the operation. On the other hand, former PNP CID GG Chief and now Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong is puzzled why Albayalde didn't know what was happening during the said operation.
Pag may mga ganyan na sir na high profile na operation, nakatutok ka na sir dyan. And blow by blow account, pinapadala ka sir niyan. Blow by blow account, namamonitor mo.
In response, Albayalde claimed Magalong had the authority before to dismiss Ninja Cops.
He could have done everything. He could have done everything with all his power, with all his authority to address this matter also. And now we're as if we are being blamed. Again, I bring back the issue when these people were supposed to be dismissed 2014. Back in 2014, General Magalong was still the DIDM. He could have followed up.
Meanwhile, the Department of Justice will release a resolution on the case of the Ninja Cops in a month. April Seredoza, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
PNP Chief Police General Oscar Albayalde will be retiring on November 8, 2019, his 56th birthday. As early as now, names have been floating and one of them might replace him as the country's top cop. Lea Ilagan reports why.
If the hierarchy of the Philippine National Police or PNP is considered, members of the command group are the possible candidates for the next chief PNP post. This includes Deputy Chief for Administration or the number 2 man of the PNP Police Lieutenant General Fernando Mendez. But he is set to retire this month. One between Deputy Chief for Operations Police Lieutenant General Archie Gamboa and Chief Directorial Staff Police Lieutenant General Camilo Cascolan may be the possible successor of the PNP chief. The UNTV News is trying to get the personal data sheet and accomplishments of Lieutenant General Archie Gamboa, but he has not given any responses. Gamboa is a product of Philippine Military Academy Sinagtala class of 1986. He lives in Davao and will be retiring on September 2 next year. General Cascolan is from PMA Sinagtala class of 1986 as well. He finished his master's in public management in the University of the Philippines, Visayas in 1995. He has handled different key positions in the PNP, among which he became a platoon leader of Special Action Company. He also worked as the chief of police of different police stations in the country. He became an aviation director in Region 7, provincial director in Compostela Valley, and became a director of Directorate for Operations, director of the National Capital Region Police Office or NCRPO, and the Civil Security Group. Presently, his position is the Chief Directorial Staff. He has received 166 medals and 21 commendations. General Cascolan had also been assigned in Davao for a long period of time. Cascolan is retiring on November 10, 2020. Aside from General Gamboa and General Cascolan, NCRPO Director Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar's name has also surfaced. The President admires Eleazar's action against cops involved in illegal drugs and those sleeping while on duty. Eleazar is a product of PMA Hinirang class of 1987. He finished his master's in public administration in Philippine Christian University in 2004. He has received 190 medals and 110 commendations. He was trained in intelligence, narcotics operations, terrorism, financial, hostage and crisis, human rights, public safety, and others. He has never been assigned in Davao, nor has he lived in Davao. His retirement will be on November 13, 2021. Police Major General Leo Angelo Leoterio, the Deputy Inspector General of the PNP Internal Affairs Service, is also a contender for the PNP Chief post. Leoterio is from the PMA Maringal class of 1988 and he is said to be a family friend of the President. Leoterio will be retiring next year, August 28. The UNTV News is trying to get accomplishments and personal data sheet of General Leoterio, but he has yet to give those. The names of two younger police officers are also surfacing. They are from PMA Sambisi class of 1991, PSPG Director Police Brigadier General Fillmore Escobal, and MPD Director Police Brigadier General Vicente Danao Jr. General Escobal finished his doctorate of philosophy in the University of Southeastern Philippines in 2013. He served for a long time in his career in Davao Region, where he became a provincial director. He also became Chief of Police in Davao City and Naga City. He is the concurrent director of the Police Security and Protection Group or PSPG. He has received 115 medals and commendations. He was trained in intel, counter-terrorism, investigation, and VIP protection. Escobal lives in Davao and is said to be trusted by the President in terms of security. Escobal will be retiring on November 5, 2023. MPD Director Police Brigadier General Vicente Danao Jr. has denied our request to give us his personal data sheet and accomplishments. Instead, he texted us, and I quote, "Paunahin mo muna sila or let them lead. Madaming magagalit or many will get angry, and in God's perfect time." General Danao will be retiring on August 10, 2023. PNP spokesperson Police Brigadier General Bernard Banac says, based on law, the President may choose among the one-star generals or with the rank of Police Brigadier General for the PNP Chief post. He says, those who are less than a year in the service are also qualified to be the next PNP Chief if the President chooses them.
The general rule, ang sinumang senior official na may isang taon na lamang nalalabi sa kanyang panungkulan ay hindi na maaring ma-promote sa next higher rank. Subalit sa case ng Chief PNP, position of the Chief PNP, ito po ay ayon pa rin, of course, sa discretion ng Pangulo. Kahit na less than a year na, kung siya po ang pipiliin ng Pangulo, ay may kapangyarihan ng Pangulo na magtalaga pa rin.
Whoever will be chosen to be the next PNP Chief, for sure, he will be a good leader for the more than 200-strong police force. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
The Department of Justice is confident the Supreme Court will affirm the legality of the new implementing rules and regulations of the Code Conduct Time Allowance or GCTA law. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The Supreme Court has not taken any action yet on the petition filed by believed inmates questioning the legality of some provisions of the new IRR of the GCTA law. This, although said IRR will take effect on October 4, Friday. The believed inmates who filed the petition are Russell Fuensalida, Benjamin Galvez, Cerilo Obnimaga, all convicted for rape, and Toshing Yu, convicted for illegal drugs-related charges. Urbano Mison, Roland Gamba, Pablo Panaga, all convicted for murder, and Romel Deang, convicted for homicide. The legal counsel of believed inmates is Attorney Celilio Jimeno Jr. According to Justice Undersecretary Mark Perete, they are confident the Supreme Court will affirm the legality of the new IRR of the GCTA law. If the new IRR gets implemented, the 1,914 heinous crime convicts that President Rodrigo Duterte pointed out will eventually be disqualified from the expanded GCTA. Data from the Bureau of Corrections show as of August 2019, 46,416 persons deprived of liberty are in their custody. This is aside from the more than 100,000 PDLs in the custody of the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. The DOJ has no data yet on how many prisoners may benefit from the revised IRR. Based on a July 2019 Supreme Court ruling, the petition filed against the first IRR, the expanded GCTA should be implemented retroactively, or PDLs serving their sentence before the enactment of the said law in 2013 should benefit. The said petition was filed also by believed inmates. After the SC ruling, about 200 prisoners were freed through the GCTA. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Manila.
The so-called drug queen of Manila, Gia Gomez Castro, her husband, and her brother are now in America. NCRPO Director Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar says their Quad Intel Force will request the cancellation of Gia's passport. Gia Ilagan will tell us why.
NCRPO Director Police Major General Guillermo Eleazar confirms that Gia Gomez Castro, her husband Dennis, and her brother dismissed PO1 Bumbu Gomez are now in the U.S. Eleazar says the three flew on September 21st to Bangkok, Thailand, and from there, on September 25th, they left to Taiwan and headed to the United States.
Itong si Gia Gomez at may dalawang kasama ay pumunta ng US noong 25 ng gabi. So, tuloy yung ating pag-monitor sa kanila.
Eleazar adds the Quad Intel Force will request the cancellation of her passport for her return to the Philippines. The group are also studying about the extradition treaty with America.
Pag na-cancel yun, so technically, magiging siyang undocumented alien na kung nasaan man siya. At kung makancel man yung visa, kung saan dun siya matatagpuan, pwede siyang makasuhan being illegal alien.
Eleazar also makes it clear that only Gia's passport will be requested for cancellation because of the cases she is now facing. Gia have 3 standing warrants of arrest. One is for a drug-related violation, while the 2 are her violation of the bouncing check law. Eleazar adds the NBI are on to a financial investigation against Gia Gomez Castro. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up to where Angelo Castro III left off. I'm Alex Baltazar, and here are the headlines. Metro Manila water rates to go up this month. House Speaker Alan Cayetano dares Senator Panfilo Lacson to point out the pork barrel in the proposed 2020 national budget. Authorities in Mapandan, Pangasinan starts the culling of hogs affected with African swine fever. A law expert says drivers and operators who joined the nationwide strike yesterday may sue if government agencies revoke their license or franchise. And a bill seeking to penalize children who will abandon their old and sick parents is filed in the Senate. Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte departs from the Philippines for an official visit to Russia. Meanwhile, PNP Chief Police Oscar Albayalde hopes President Duterte's confidence in him will not be affected by issues hounding him. From Pasay City, Rosalie Cos is on the line to tell us why live. Yes, Ross? Good evening, Ross.
Yes, good evening, Alex. President Rodrigo Duterte will leave the country for several days to visit Russia the second time. As you can see through our live feed right now, he's delivering his departure speech. Tomorrow, Wednesday, he will meet Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev, and on Thursday, he will give an address to the Valdai Forum. On the sidelines of the said conference, he will meet Russian President Vladimir Putin. This will be the 4th time the two leaders will meet. President Duterte will also meet Jordanian King Abdullah II, and on Friday, President Duterte will give a speech to a business forum. Right now, the President will entertain some questions from some personnel of the media. Let's listen to the question and answer portion before the President leaves for Russia.
I really don't know, no? I hope not, kasi alam naman ng presidente na kung paano talaga kami lumaban dito sa kampanya laban sa illegal na droga. No? This is just a matter of perception, kita ko. Tignan nyo naman na he's putting words in the mouth of somebody else, no? I think this is very ungentlemanly, no? Of him, and very unstatesmanship of somebody who is occupying a position in the government.
Alex, right now, the President is answering questions from some personnel of the media. The first question is about the controversy surrounding the Philippine National Police Chief, Oscar Albayalde. He said he will let the investigation of the Senate to proceed. Agaw.
All right, thank you, Rosalie Cos, reporting live from Pasay City. Manila and Manila water customers, brace yourselves for higher water bills this month. This after the Metropolitan Water Works and Sewerage System, or MWSS, approved the rate adjustment for the fourth quarter of this year. Joanano tells us why.
Maynilad and Manila Water will increase water rates beginning October 13. The MWSS based the water rate hike on the upward adjustment of the foreign currency differential adjustment. 2 centavos per cubic meter is the approved water rate hike for Maynilad and 17 centavos per cubic meter for Manila Water.
The reason po na pwede po ilang ipasa po ito sa publiko ay pinayagan po sila dati ng MWSS, ng dating board ng MWSS, na pwede lang po ipasa sa publiko ito under the principle of no loss, no gain. I mean, ibig sabihin po ito, hindi din po sila pwedeng kumita sa foreign currency.
Customers are disappointed with the water rate hike.
Tataas na naman. Ito nga, nangangamote ako dahil naputulan ako.
Consideration na lang sa mga, lalo yung mga hindi lahat na kasi ng kayang magbayad ng ganong kataas na bill.
The MWSS assures the 1.8 billion pesos penalty imposed by the Supreme Court will not be passed on to the consumers.
Yung fines and penalties po, hindi po pwedeng i-pass to the public.
Okay po.
Kasi expressly prohibited po na ipapasa at mga fines and penalties ng dalawang concessionaires sa publiko.
Joanano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Supreme Court deferred action today on the electoral protest filed by former Senator Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. against Vice President Leni Robredo. The Supreme Court sits as the Presidential Electoral Tribunal, or PET. According to SC spokesman Attorney Brian Keith Hosaka, the tribunal has not yet taken action on the report of the member in charge, Justice Alfredo Benjamin Caguiao. Last September 9, Justice Caguiao submitted his report on the result of partial recount of ballots for 3 provinces, Iloilo, Negros Occidental, and Camarines Sur. According to a source, it is possible that next week or on October 8, the tribunal will vote on the Marcos Robredo case. House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano dares Senator Panfilo Lacson to point out where the pork barrel is in their approved 2020 national budget. Meanwhile, the Senate is ready to scrutinize the 2020 budget approved by the lower house. Vincent Arboleda will tell us why.
Tell me where the pork is, I'll sit down with you, let's discuss it. Kung guilty, sasabihin ko sa'yo guilty. Kung innocent, I'll convince you na innocent.
This is the statement of House Speaker Alan Peter Cayetano addressed to not only Senator Panfilo Lacson but also to other senators and the public on the issue of pork barrel insertions in the 2020 national budget. This comes after the allegation of Senator Lacson of a 54 billion peso pork barrel insertion in the 2020 budget and the seemingly anomalous creation of a small committee to insert amendments to the proposed national budget. Speaker Cayetano enumerated the allocations for the 9.52 billion pesos amendment that will be added to the proposed 2020 national budget. Included here are the 3 billion pesos additional funds for buying palay, salary increase of traffic enforcers and employees of MMDA, additional funds for PGH, and additional funds to ensure that all municipalities in the country have electricity.
Ako personally, ayaw ko lang pangunahan. But I don't think magkakaproblema sa BICAM. Unang-una, ang Pangulo na ang nagsabi na kapag ka may illegal o unconstitutional dyan, i-veto niya.
In a statement, Senator Panfilo Lacson says the Senate is ready to scrutinize the General Appropriations Bill that will be submitted. He says their job will be easier should they see no pork barrel in the proposed budget. Lacson adds Senate is ready to stay up late to examine the 2020 national budget before it gets passed and submitted for the President's signing by December 2019. Vincent Arboleda, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Barangay Baluling in Mapandan, Pangasinan has been declared ground zero of African swine fever virus infection. The 1710 protocol has been set in place to prevent the spread of the virus. Leslie Widam will tell us why.
Authorities in Mapandan, Pangasinan yesterday began calling over 100 hogs infected by the deadly swine disease. The local government says that results of the test on blood samples show that 15 of the 60 swines brought here from Bustos, Bulacan test.
President Rodrigo Duterte is now having a speech before he departs to Russia. Let's listen to this. The government's validation teams inspected the results of the local government's clearing operations. The DILG warns local chief executives they might suffer the consequences if they don't discipline their barangay captains. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The government's validation teams inspected Quezon City's primary and secondary roads today. Due to the massive area of Quezon City, 4 teams were deployed for the inspection. Their job is to verify what the local government reported on the accomplishments in the clearing operations ordered by President Rodrigo Duterte. Members of the validation teams are not from Quezon City like the chief of DILG Caloocan City.
Sa mga kalsada, kung may mga illegally parked, saka kung may mga vendors.
For the Quezon City government, they have accomplished more than what the DILG ordered.
Dinagdagan pa natin ang bayanihan sa lansangan and pati mga inner roads ay kinlear natin.
DILG Under Secretary Jonathan Malaya says the mayors may suspend barangay captains who will not obey. He adds the DILG is the direct authority who may discipline mayors and governors.
Karamihan sa mga mayor natatakot na isuspindi yung kanilang mga barangay kapitan. Ngunit tungkulin nila ito at baka sila ang masuspindi.
The validation team's reports on their respective areas will be submitted on Friday. The validation team is composed of representatives from the DILG, the Bureau of Fire Protection, the Philippine National Police, and Rotary Club International. Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Quezon City Department of Public Order and Safety, or DPOS, plans to conduct clearing operations in the city permanently. They say the clearing operations in the city in the past 2 months have been successful. Aiko Miguel explains why.
QC DPOS personnel and the Department of the Interior and Local Government Validation Team made rounds in Mabuhay Lanes 2, 3, and 6 this morning. During their inspection, they have noticed huge changes within the city. Illegally parked cars on public roads and vendors and sidewalks are now gone.
First time kong nakitang gano'n, parang landingan ng eroplano sa linis ang mga roadways natin.
With the good results of the 60-day clearing ops, QC DPOS plans to implement the clearing operation in Quezon City year-round. QC DPOS hopes that barangay officials will sustain order and cleanliness and help discipline the residents towards obstruction-free roads.
Kailangan nga, sabi ko sa iyo, masustain sana namin, tumulong naman yung mamamayan natin. Sila ang susi rito sa tagumpay ng Quezon City.
No extension after the 2-month period will be given to local governments. According to Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya, a mayor will be liable once proved he neglected his duty to conduct the clearing operations in their locality.
Before we submit the names to the Office of the President, gusto namin siyang pagpaliwanagin.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Public utility vehicle operators and drivers may sue transport agencies if their licenses or franchises are canceled for joining a nationwide transport strike, according to a law expert. My Bermudez will tell us why.
The right to protest and join transport strikes prevails over the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, or LTFRB's, argument that such is a violation of franchise provisions. Attorney George Erwin Garcia, a constitutional law expert, says cancellation or suspension of franchise and licenses of mass transport strike participants clearly violates the Constitution. Government agencies may be sued once their threat becomes real.
Yung tinatawag na grave abuse of discretion amounting to lack or excess of jurisdiction. Lalo pa nga in-implement nila yan nang wala man lang pakundangan, pwede rin silang kasuhan ng administratibo. At tapos lalong-lalo pa kung talagang yung ginawa nila yan na in a manner na nag-violate ng constitutional right, pwede pa rin criminal case.
Attorney Garcia asks, how can somebody identify those who joined the nationwide transport strike?
Yung pag-threaten ng LTFRB, more imagined yon than real. Mukhang napakahirap at i-implement nun. Paano mo mapipinpoint sino yung mga sumali, sino yung mga jeepney drivers or operators na nag-participate? Mukhang napakahirap nun dahil ang mangyayari dun kahit sino maituro na lang, mapagbibintangan.
The LTFRB says aside from being in accordance with the memorandum on transport strike, participants may be easily identified.
Makikita ka agad din. May mga nakalagay na flag, no? Merong mga sakay na mga lumalahok sa transport strike. At alam din natin na talagang sinasadya na ayaw nilang magpapakilala kasi nga tinatakpan yung plate number, pati yung case number.
But once the government revokes the said privilege of PUV drivers and operators, this is where the court may enter to look into possible violations of the Constitution. Transport Group Piston says cancellation and franchise revocation are government threats that remain as just threats.
Hindi po malayo yun na magsampan ng kaso ang mga driver at operator. Lalo na ang tinatanggal po dito ay kabuhayan. Kaya tinatanggal ng DOTR, ng LTFRB, yung karapatan ko bilang mamamayan.
My Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Many Filipinos believe that turning the hazard light on during a downpour is right. But is it? Let's find out when the right time to use the hazard light is, as Mon Hokson reports.
Some say increased visibility of vehicles plying roads during heavy rains is needed. That is done with the hazard light on. But authorities have put an end to the issue that hazard lights should not be used in this situation. First, there is no reason to use the hazard light when there is downpour because it will cause confusion to motorists. If you want to increase your vehicle's visibility, just turn your regular lights on. But with zero visibility, don't drive and pull over to a safe location.
Mandatory headlights on tayo kapag umuulan. Once you use your wiper, once you turn on your wiper, you should be using also your headlight.
A running vehicle with hazard lights on is confusing to motorists because they will not know if it's turning left or right. This may even cause accidents. All of these are based on international traffic law, wherein the Philippines is an official participant. Former President Ferdinand Marcos ratified the law and adopted it in the Philippines. The law states that hazard lights should be used only to warn motorists that the vehicle is involved in an accident or broken down, or to indicate to road users that risk of an imminent danger. In short, the hazard light was designed only for vehicles stalled in an emergency situation and not for moving vehicles. According to an expert, hazard lights should not be used during heavy downpour.
You should not be turning on your hazards unless you are in an emergency situation. No, this is to signal yung mga cars behind you na you are in distress.
Possibly, many motorists have different views on this, but it is better to listen to what experts say. Better safe than sorry. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue.
The Coalition of Services of the Elderly and the residents of their group home in Bulacan expressed their gratitude to Wish 1075 now that they can enjoy their new floor. Nina Armilio details why.
Remember when we visited the elderly group home of the Coalition of Services of the Elderly or COSE in San Jose del Monte, Bulacan? The floor of the group home was old and worn out. In the living room, the kitchen, and even in their bedrooms. But the 10 elderly women being cared for in COSE's home unit can now enjoy their new and shiny floor. Granny Teresita can now strut all she wants and showcase her dance moves. COSE, their volunteers, and the elder women thank Wish 1075 for the gift of 100,000 pesos the organization received during the Wish 365 concert on August 25.
Ay, magpapasalamat ako sa Diyos na mayroong mga mabuting puso na nagdodonate dito. Maraming salamat.
COSE is a non-governmental organization in the Philippines that has been serving the elderly communities in the country for almost 3 decades. They help older people find their relatives, earn a living, and contribute to society. Nina Armilio, UNTV News and Rescue, San Jose del Monte, Bulacan.
And to complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. A 61-year-old man has been homeless for 9 years in Manila City. He got separated from his wife years ago and his children are all grown up now. Let's know more about him and his struggles in life as Asher Cadapan Jr. reports.
Willie Santos has been living alone at the Baywalk in Rojas Boulevard, Manila for 9 years.
Talagang mahirap. Isipin mo, dito mo sa lahat, dumi, lalo na pag bumabagyo, hindi ka matulog.
He and his wife have been living separate lives for about 20 years now. He needed to leave his children with his wife. Day in and day out, he misses his children, he says.
Malungkot talaga. Kaya nawain natin. Kaysa naman kasama ko sila rito. Amo na sila ron. Ako na lang magdusa.
Now that Willie's children are all grown up and employed, they give their father some amount of cash for him to use. They also get to visit him every week at the Baywalk too. Despite this, Willie still has no roof above his head.
Kasi sila lang ang buhay ko eh. Wala naman akong puntahan. At tinatakwil ako.
Willie is just one of the many parents at their old age who live away from their children, rejected and abandoned by their loved ones. But we must not forget the many things our mothers and fathers have done since the day we were born. Does it only take a law for us to be obligated to care for the persons instrumental for us to see the light of day? Asher Cadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, City of Manila.
Meanwhile, Senator Panfilo Lacson has refiled a bill seeking to penalize children who will neglect or abandon their old and incapacitated parents. Senate Bill number 29, or the Parents' Welfare Act of 2019, seeks to require children to support their old, sick, and incapacitated parents. Harleen Delgado tells us why.
Despite his age, 67-year-old Angelo Pescon continues to work. He used to work as a jeepney driver but had to stop after experiencing stroke. That is why, despite creeping illnesses, he continues to work on sustaining his everyday living.
May anak ako dati, yung unang asawa. Sa akin naman nakikinabang humihingi pa ng pera dahil tamad maghanap buhay. Mahirap kasi siyempre titisin mo lahat ng hirap, sakit. Lalo pag gumising ng maga, masakit na likod.
This kind of case is what Senator Panfilo Lacson wants to solve with this proposed measure. According to the senator, though Filipinos are well known for having close family ties, sights of abandoned elderly in streets has become common. In other countries, such as the United States, there are filial responsibility laws which mandate adult children to support their parents in need of long-term care, such as medication and admission to nursing homes. In Lacson's proposed measure, a petition of support can be filed by a parent who is incapacitated due to old age, sickness, or disability. Included in the petition are the identity of the parent in need of support, facts showing that the parent indeed a senior citizen, aged, sickly, or permanently incapacitated regardless of age, identity of the children and current status, and the approximate amount and care needed by the parent in need. Others can also file a petition in behalf of the parent in need of support, including the child who is taking care of the parent in need against his or her siblings who do not contribute, relatives up to 4th civil affinity, officers or social workers of the Department of the Social Welfare and Development and local government units, lawyer or healthcare provider of the parent, anyone who is in care of the parent, or at least 2 concerned citizens from the same area. Once the court granted the petition, the children who has no custody of the parent shall send their share of support within the first 5 days of every month. Those who will fail to provide support for 3 consecutive months without justifiable cause may face 1 to 6 months of imprisonment or a fine of not less than 100,000 pesos. Those who will abandon their parents will face 6 to 10 years of imprisonment and a fine of not less than 300,000 pesos. The bill also seeks to build an old age home in all provinces and highly urbanized cities in the country. Harleen Delgado, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
In celebration of Elderly Filipino Week, the Metro Rail Transit 3 is offering free rides to our beloved elderly from October 1st to 7. The free rides can be availed from 5:30 a.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. Those who want to avail the free ride will just have to present their identification card proving they are age 60 years old or above. And for the news abroad, here's Kath Dumaraos reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. Kath, good evening.
Good evening, William. China marked 70 years of Communist Party rule on Tuesday with a major military parade in Beijing and celebrations nationwide, but protests in Hong Kong cast a long shadow on the festivities. Stephanie C. reports.
China celebrated 7 decades of Communist Party rule with a massive display of military power in central Beijing as President Xi Jinping pledged peaceful development but said the armed forces would defend China's sovereignty. The event is the country's most important of the year as China looks to project an image of confidence in the face of mounting challenges. President Xi Jinping, dressed in a slate gray Mao suit and accompanied by his predecessors Hu Jintao and Jiang Zemin, said China will pursue a mutually beneficial strategy of opening up. Xi then descended to the street and inspected row upon row of military hardware and immaculately presented troops. Xi remains broadly popular in China for his aggressive campaign against corruption and for propelling what is now the world's second biggest economy to the forefront of global politics.
Over the last 70 years, Chinese people of all ethnicities have been of one heart and one mind and working hard, and achieved accomplishments that have caught the attention of the world. Today, a socialist China is standing rock firm in the east of the world. No force can shake the status of our great nation. or stop the Chinese people and nation from striving forward.
Meanwhile, scuffles broke out in Hong Kong earlier as the city went into lockdown. Protesters have pledged to seize on the holiday to propel their calls for greater democracy onto the international stage, hijacking an occasion Beijing sees as an opportunity to showcase China's economic progress to the world. Rail operator MTR Corporation closed some flashpoint metro stations, while several large shopping malls announced they would close, hoping to avoid damage in any clashes. The government of embattled Hong Kong leader Carrie Lam has already cancelled the annual October 1 fireworks display over the city's iconic Victoria Harbour, citing public safety concerns. Stephanie C., UNTV News and Rescue.
A naturalized U.S. citizen working as a tour guide in the San Francisco area was charged on Monday with being an agent of the Chinese government, providing officials there with classified U.S. national security information. Judith Anufuente has the details.
Shewa Peng, also known as Edward Peng, was taken into custody on Friday in Hayward, California, and was denied bail during an initial court appearance before a U.S. magistrate judge that same day. Prosecutors said Peng delivered classified information to China's Ministry of State Security, or MSS. Peng, 56, is not accused of obtaining the classified information from the U.S. government himself, but is charged with acting as a courier who between October 2015 and June 2018 left money at dead drops in hotel rooms in U.S. cities and picked up secure digital cards. Covered FBI footage released by the U.S. Department of Justice shows Peng conducting some of the dead drops, prosecutors said. Dead drops are used by spies to pass information or items in secret locations.
The charges announced today specifically pertain to an unlawful scheme by the MSS to use an American citizen to remove classified national security information from the United States to the PRC.
He then allegedly traveled to Beijing with those cards to deliver them to his handlers in the Chinese government, according to the criminal complaint.
They used these assets to obtain information unlawfully here in the United States. The MSS conducts clandestine and covert human source operations. The United States is a principal target of the MSS.
A resident of Hayward and San Francisco's Bay Area, Peng arrived in the U.S. on a temporary business visa. He became a permanent resident in February 2006 following his marriage to his then wife and was naturalized as a U.S. citizen in September 2012. Trained in traditional Chinese medicine, Peng is believed to have been working as a sightseeing tour operator in the San Francisco area for Chinese students and visitors. Peng is expected to appear in court for a detention hearing in San Francisco on Wednesday. If convicted of the charges, he faces a maximum sentence of 10 years and a fine of $250,000. Judith Anafuente, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the news from the other parts of the globe. Back to you, William.
Thank you very much, Kath Dumaraos, reporting live from Bangkok, Thailand. An international collaboration of researchers has concluded that if there are health benefits from eating less beef and pork, they are tiny. Beverly Saison will tell us why.
Steak is back on the menu. Cutting back on red and processed meat brings few, if any, health benefits according to a major evidence review that contradicts the dietary advice of leading international agencies. Most people can continue to eat red and processed meat at current average intake, typically 3 or 4 times a week for adults in North America and Europe, said a panel of experts who made new recommendations based on the analysis.
Based on the research, we cannot say with any certainty that eating red or processed meat causes cancer, diabetes, or heart disease.
Published in the Annals of Internal Medicine Journal, researchers from Canada, Spain, and Poland conducted a series of reviews of both randomized controlled trials and observational studies looking at the possible health impacts of eating red and processed meat. Among the randomized trials, which included around 54,000 people, they found no statistically significant link between eating meat and the risk of heart disease, diabetes, or cancer.
Amongst cohort studies following millions of participants, we did find a small reduction in risk amongst those who consumed 3 fewer servings of red or processed meat per week. However, the certainty of evidence was low to very low.
The turnaround of being met with fierce criticism by the American Heart Association, the American Cancer Society, the Harvard School of Public Health, and other groups. It also raises questions about dietary advice and nutritional research in general. The World Health Organization has classified red and processed meats as cancer-causing. Public health bodies worldwide urge people to limit their intake of red and processed meat to reduce their cancer risk. The NHS advises that people who eat 90 grams of meat a day, equivalent to 3 thin slices of roast meat, should cut down to 70 grams. Beverly Sison, UNTV News and Rescue.
And those are the reasons behind the news this October 1st, 2019. On behalf of Alex Baltazar and Angelo Castro III, I am William Theo. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.